For years, fans around the world have speculated about the real love life of Yaman. From his meteoric rise as one of the most beloved Turkish actors to his overwhelming success in Italy, every step of his journey has been analyzed, photographed, and turned into headlines. But no rumor has been as persistent, or as controversial, as the one connecting him with Sara Bluma. Social media, tabloids, and fan pages painted a picture of an intense, secret relationship between the two, fueling endless speculation. Was she really the woman behind Yaman's mysterious smile? Did she hold a special place in his heart? And then, everything changed. In a shocking twist that no one saw coming, Yaman's mother decided to speak out. With her words, she shattered years of speculation, destroying the illusion that had surrounded her son's private life. The statement was clear, sharp, and impossible to ignore: Sara Bluma was never his girlfriend. Those words didn't just silence gossip, they set the entire entertainment world on fire. How could it be possible? After so many rumors, countless sightings, and endless tabloid covers, was the story of Sara Bluma nothing more than smoke and mirrors? Fans, especially in Italy, who had followed every single post, every cryptic message, every paparazzi shot, suddenly found themselves facing an uncomfortable truth: the narrative they had been led to believe was built on nothing real. But why now? Why would Yaman's mother wait so long before addressing this? For insiders close to the actor, the answer is simple: she had had enough. The constant linking of her son's name to Sara Bluma was not only unfair, but also deeply misleading for fans who deserved honesty. Can's mother, known for her protective nature and sharp intuition, had reached her breaking point. And when she finally spoke, she did so with a level of authority that no journalist, no blogger, and no rumor could ever match. Behind her decision lies something even more fascinating: the reality of Yaman's emotional world. The denial of Sara as a girlfriend opens a brand new chapter in the actor's story. If Sara was never the one, then who was? And more importantly, why was this narrative allowed to grow for so long? Was it media manipulation? A deliberate move from Sara's side? Or simply the product of a fan culture desperate for romance, eager to tie every female presence in Can's life to something deeper? The revelation has already started to reshape the way fans interpret Can's past behavior. Every Instagram post, every photo taken in Rome, every public outing with Sara is now being reanalyzed with new eyes. What once looked like proof of a love affair suddenly feels like an illusion, moments taken out of context and turned into a fantasy that the actor himself never confirmed. And this is where the bombshell becomes truly powerful, because if Sara was never Can's girlfriend, then who is the real woman in his heart? His mother's words didn't just deny a rumor, they reignited one of the most emotional questions in the entertainment world today. A question that fans will not stop asking until they get the answer. The impact of Yaman's mother's words was immediate. Within minutes of her statement spreading online, hashtags began trending on Twitter, Instagram stories exploded with fan reactions, and even Italian television dedicated airtime to this unexpected revelation. The narrative that had been carefully built around Can and Sara seemed to collapse in real time. Headlines that once screamed about secret dates and romantic getaways suddenly felt hollow, exposed as nothing more than smoke. For fans who had been emotionally invested in this supposed relationship, the reaction was mixed. Some felt betrayed by the media, convinced they had been misled for years. Others turned their anger towards Sara Bluma herself, accusing her of fueling the fire with carefully timed social media posts and appearances that seemed to suggest closeness with the actor. But perhaps the most shocking response came from the people who had always doubted the story. They felt vindicated. For them, Can's mother had confirmed what they had believed all along: Sara was never truly part of his private world. But why does this revelation matter so much? The answer lies in Yaman's unique status as a global star. Unlike many actors, his life is followed with an intensity that borders on obsession. Every movement, every gesture, every smile becomes a clue in the mystery of his personal life. Fans don't just want to watch his series, they want to believe they are part of his story. And for years, the Sara Bluma chapter gave them a narrative to hold on to. It created drama, hope, jealousy, and endless speculation. Now that this chapter has been publicly erased, a vacuum has appeared. And that vacuum has only one possible replacement: the truth. The truth, however, is far more complicated than the tabloids ever suggested. Insiders close to Ken say that his mother's protective stance is not random, it reflects the reality that her son's love life has always been carefully guarded. Ken is not the kind of man to parade his real relationships in front of the cameras. Instead, he chooses silence, a silence that allows the world to build its own myths. But when those myths grow too powerful, when they begin to distort the essence of who he really is, then comes a moment when the truth must be spoken. And that is exactly what his mother delivered, a reset button on years of false narratives. What makes this even more dramatic is the timing. Yaman is currently at a crucial point in his career, balancing international projects with his own personal battles. The last thing he needs is a false love story overshadowing his work. By removing Sara from the equation, his mother has redirected the spotlight back to what truly matters: Ken's talent, his discipline, and perhaps the mysteries of his real emotional life. But the fans' obsession with his private affairs will not vanish so easily. On the contrary, the denial of Sara as a girlfriend has only intensified curiosity. If Sara was never the one, then who was? Who is the hidden love of Yaman's life, the woman strong enough to capture his heart but discreet enough to stay in the shadows? This is the question now echoing across fan pages, YouTube channels, and gossip magazines worldwide. And as every seasoned follower of celebrity culture knows, when one rumor ends, another always begins. Could it be Demet Özdemir, the woman with whom Ken shared undeniable on-screen and off-screen chemistry? Or is there another name, a figure hidden far from the flash of cameras, waiting to be revealed? Whatever the answer may be, one thing is certain: Ken's mother has set off a storm that will not calm down anytime soon. In the days following Yaman's mother's bombshell, the entertainment world entered a frenzy. Italian talk shows invited experts to analyze every angle of her statement. Turkish media revisited old archives of paparazzi photos, desperately trying to reframe the story. And fans? They launched full-scale investigations of their own, dissecting Instagram posts, interviews, and behind-the-scenes clips to find clues about what was real and what was manufactured. One thing quickly became clear: the Sara Bluma narrative had been one of the most powerful illusions in recent celebrity history. Photos of the two attending the same events were now being scrutinized with new eyes. What once looked like romantic encounters suddenly appeared staged, coincidental, or exaggerated. The so-called secret dinners and private holidays dissolved under the weight of Ken's mother's words. Sara was no longer the mysterious girlfriend, she was just a figure placed too close to the spotlight. But here lies the deeper question: how did this illusion last so long? The answer points to the machinery of fame itself. Yaman is not just an actor, he is a brand, a symbol of passion and charisma. Every brand needs stories, and every symbol needs myths. In Sara, the press found a perfect character to feed that myth. Whether she actively played along or was simply caught in the storm, Sara became part of a narrative that made headlines, sold magazines, and kept fans glued to their screens. Yet, while the media thrived on this constructed fantasy, Yaman himself remained silent. That silence, so powerful and so mysterious, became the fuel for endless speculation. He neither confirmed nor denied, allowing the world to write its own story about him. For some, this was strategic, a way to keep his personal life protected. For others, it was a mistake, giving too much space for lies to take root. And now, with his mother stepping in, that silence has finally been broken. The revelation also raises another intriguing angle: the role of family in Yaman's life. Unlike many celebrities who distance themselves from family involvement, Ken has always been deeply connected to his mother. Those close to him often describe her as his anchor, the one person who knows him beyond the cameras, beyond the fame, beyond the international frenzy. For her to speak publicly means the situation had reached a point of no return. It wasn't just gossip anymore, it was interference with her son's dignity. And in her eyes, protecting his truth was non-negotiable. Fans have noticed this dynamic too. Many have flooded social media with messages of support for Can's mother, praising her for having the courage to speak up when her son would not. Others, however, have criticized her timing, arguing that addressing the rumors earlier might have prevented years of false headlines. But regardless of opinions, one fact remains: she has redefined the conversation. And now, the narrative is shifting toward what really matters. With Sara officially erased from the love story equation, all roads lead back to the same central mystery: Yaman's heart. If not Sara, then who? The emotional weight of this question is heavier than ever, because fans know that behind the walls of silence, there must be a story worth protecting. And every time Can avoids the subject, every time he deflects a question in interviews, the intrigue only grows stronger. The more people dig, the more another name keeps resurfacing: Demet Özdemir. The chemistry between Can and Demet during her Kensi Kuss wasn't just acting, it was electricity that spilled beyond the screen. Fans saw it, believed it, and have never stopped talking about it. Could his mother's words about Sara be a subtle way of redirecting attention toward a love story that once shook millions? Or is that just another illusion waiting to be shattered? Whatever the truth, one thing is undeniable: the storm unleashed by Yaman's mother has completely rewritten the script. And the world is desperate to read the next chapter. As the dust settles around this shocking revelation, one thing is crystal clear: Yaman's life will never be viewed the same way again. The illusion of Sara Bluma as his girlfriend has been shattered, and with it, the carefully constructed fantasy that so many fans had embraced. But instead of bringing closure, the words of his mother have opened new doors, doors that lead straight into the most private corners of his heart. For Can, this is both a blessing and a burden. On one hand, the truth has freed him from a narrative that was never his own. On the other, it has left him exposed, vulnerable to the next wave of speculation. Fans and media alike are now hungrier than ever to uncover the real love story of Yaman. They want names, they want proof, they want confessions. And every time he steps into the public eye, the questions will only get louder. But perhaps that is exactly what his mother intended. By tearing down a false story, she may have been protecting not just her son's reputation, but also the sacredness of his real emotions. Because the truth is this: Yaman has always been a man of passion. Whether in acting, in his charitable work, or in his rare but intense moments of vulnerability, he pours himself completely into what matters. Love, for him, is not a game, it is something profound, something to guard fiercely from the flashing cameras. This is why the world cannot let go of the idea that Demet Özdemir is still part of his story. The memories of their connection, both on and off the set of her Kensi Kuss, remain etched in the hearts of millions. Every stolen glance, every laugh they shared behind the scenes, every rumor of late-night phone calls, it all comes back now with even more force. If Sara was never the one, then maybe, just maybe, Demet still is. And yet, Can remains silent. He does not confirm, he does not deny. His eyes sometimes tell stories his lips never speak, and fans have learned to read between the lines. That is why this silence has become louder than any public declaration could ever be. Silence can hide pain, but it can also protect love. The final question that lingers is not whether Sara was his girlfriend, it's whether the woman who truly holds his heart will ever be revealed. Will Yaman one day choose to share his truth with the world? Or will he continue to guard it, allowing fans to live in mystery? Whatever his choice, one thing is certain: the fascination will not fade. If anything, the bombshell from his mother has intensified it. Because in the end, the greatest stories are not the ones told by tabloids, nor the ones constructed by gossip. They are the ones that remain hidden, whispered only between two souls who know what it means to love in secret. And perhaps that is where Yaman's real story lies, not in rumors, not in headlines, but in the quiet truth he keeps close to his heart. The world may have been stunned by his mother's words, but the story is far from over. In fact, this may only be the beginning.